Last night, Reese said she's been wanting to have Aaron on her channel and go deep and real because we were not friends for a minute there and it hurt my heart. And I think it made Aaron sad. Except for one live stream together last month, Reese and Aaron haven't collaborated on any content for many months. Reese mentions that some people in her audience may not like Aaron, and a glass of liquor can be seen in Aaron's hand as he says, "Pump the brakes. Who the F in your audience does not like me?" Reese tells her fans that no matter how they feel about him, Aaron will always be a key person in her life because he's the whole reason that she's where she is right now, out of Scientology and on YouTube. "He introduced me to Sterling, he introduced me to Tommy, all these amazing people," she says. Aaron says the air has already been cleared, but he and Reese are doing this video as an example of how personal conflicts are handled the right way. He says disagreements between friends should be handled in private. That's interesting because for most of this year, Aaron was pushing people to hash out their differences in front of an audience. That's what he wanted Mike Grinder to do with Miriam. And Aaron also barged into a live stream with Liz Ferris and Lara to talk about the funding for Liz's SGB shots. YouTube shouldn't be used as a drama escalation device for personal grievances when people are supposed to be friends, Aaron says. He tells Reese that no matter what was going on behind the scenes, he's never supported anybody attacking her, and he's actively put the kibosh on people associated with him who might have started to do that. Aaron says he's always made it clear that he doesn't support people who attack his friends publicly, and recently he's decided that he won't support anyone who attacks them privately either. "Being a friend to me actually means something," he says, adding that it's okay to fight with friends, but that someone who says, "Oh, we've got a problem. I'm going to go cry to the internet about you and turn your audience against you and my audience against you and all this stuff," that's not friendship. That's mental illness. Aaron seems to have zero awareness that he's describing exactly what he did to Mike Grinder, Mark and Claire. Aaron says he and Reese are doing this video to talk about why they didn't co-host a stream for about 8 months, and why doing one video together was enough for Tommy to break up with Reese. "Tommy is upset with me because he feels like I chose you over him, and I think he thinks we have these deep Scientology ties," Reese tells Aaron, adding that Tommy told her that made sense and that he probably would have chosen his prison ties. If someone doesn't try to handle things privately and behind the scenes, it's because they don't intend to, because it was never their intention to fix a relationship or to value a relationship, Aaron says. He says Tommy broke up with Reese over completely false information. "I know there's a lot of Tommy fans in here," Reese says. "I'm a Tommy fan, so this is not me throwing him under the bus." Reese confidently blames the rifts in her relationship with Aaron on third partying, and explains that LRH teaches that a middle person whispering to both people is a great way to ruin relationships. Aaron says he thinks that concept is a Scientology cop-out, but he agrees that there were other people ratcheting up problems between the two of them. Aaron says every SPTV channel has people who are fiercely devoted to the content creator, and he doesn't want to name any names. Reese says she wasn't going to do that. Reese acts shocked that Aaron or anyone would question her ability to be discreet. They both agree that mod wars have been a huge problem in SPTV. Reese says they both have mods that were starting problems between she and Aaron. "And I think they still would love to see us succumb," she says. Reese says she knows that's true on Aaron's end, and he tells her to pump the brakes again. He was going to tell her the problem's more on her side. Reese bursts out laughing. Aaron says he made the phone call to try to solve things with Reese because she was supposed to be his friend. For months, a lot of people have come to Aaron with messages that they'd like him to give Reese because they think she'd take the news better if it came from him. He wondered if talking to her about those things would make it sound like he was giving her a friendly heads up, or like he was threatening her. In the call he made to her, he says he thought he was behaving like a friend, but she was attacking him like he was the ambassador of the enemy. "And then I hung up on you eventually," Aaron says. Reese confirms that. "But we had a phone call out of anger before that. We've had some angry phone calls," she says. Reese says Aaron was upset that she started having sex with Tommy before her divorce was final. She starts trying to tease him about whether he has any experience with that, and he snaps back that his situation is different. Reese says she could have been in physical danger from Jeff if she hadn't kept that secret. Aaron says he remembers thinking there's no way Jeff didn't already know what was going on. That's true. Jeff has confirmed that he knew for months she was cheating on him. If Reese were physically afraid of Jeff, there's no way she would have moved Tommy into their house and conducted herself the way that she did. Reese tells Aaron she justified what she did because she thought he was going to sex cult parties and paying prostitutes, so she couldn't stand being there. Aaron says he apologized to Reese recently because when people were trying to cancel him for decisions in his personal life, he would have been furious if the response from his friends was anything other than, "It's none of my business." Aaron says he went to Reese and told her that by lying to the audience about her affair, she was putting him in a bad position. Aaron says the original problem between him and Reese stemmed from something having to do with Tommy that had nothing to do with her. Aaron says it got to a point where he felt like he was kind of a ping-pong between Reese and Tommy when they would have arguments. He wanted to tell Reese and Tommy, "You realize that all you're doing is talking shit about me, right?" Aaron says Tommy would leave him these long, unhinged 15-minute voicemails. Aaron's confirming that Tommy's voicemails can be problematic even if he's not screaming at someone. That supports what Reese's former mods say. Reese mocked Hockeytown John for saying he was scared of Tommy and that Tommy had threatened him. She was very angry that he had played a voice message from Tommy to other mods and that several of them told her Tommy was out of line. When Aaron would get those voicemails, he says he wanted to tell Tommy, "You don't fucking know me like that. Who the hell do you think you are?" He says Tommy was telling him that he was the only one in Aaron's life who cares enough to tell him the tough truths. "All your friends are afraid to tell you how they really feel, but they tell me," Aaron says Tommy would say. Reese looks increasingly unhappy as Aaron goes on to say, "My friends aren't talking to fucking Tommy Scoville about me and my channel." Reese says she thought Aaron and Tommy were closer. Aaron describes Tommy as a work friend, like anyone else he collaborates with. That's interesting because Aaron chose to go on Tommy's channel to air some of his dirtiest laundry. Reese says what Tommy can't get over is how he feels that Reese flipped a switch from shit-talking Aaron and having a lot of problems with him to all of a sudden being fine with him. That comeback livestream she did with Aaron was very strange. She kept lobbying Aaron to make commitments to do more and more content with her, even if it was just recycling the few recorded calls with Scientologists that Reese brought to the table a long time ago. She says she tried to explain to Tommy that she and Aaron had a deep crying session on the phone. Reese wonders if it's a Scientological thing that she and Aaron can resolve things so suddenly. Reese says she wants Tommy to be able to pick up the phone, use his words and talk it out with her, like Aaron did, because it's so unresolved for me. She wants to use her mending fences with Aaron as an example to the world that it is possible. Aaron considers himself to be someone who has, almost to a fault, shown an ability to forgive people. He says there are people he tried to help a lot on YouTube, and who he included in the foundation that have already energetically tried to cancel him. "That's a mistake I will never make again," he says, adding that short of that, friends fall out all the time. He says he draws the line when people don't even try to work things out privately. Aaron is clearly referring to Nora in this moment, but that's not fair because she has repeatedly talked about how she tried to get Aaron to communicate with her and fix their friendship, but he wouldn't. And if Aaron is lumping Mark Headley into that category, that's very unfair too, because Mark briefly released a private email showing that he pleaded with Aaron to stay friends with his longtime confidants from the Aftermath Foundation board. Mark told Aaron they wanted to be there for him and his family, and they wanted to help him. He asks Reese why she's not owning up to how she's attacked Jeff, and she says she doesn't feel like she has gone hard on him. Wow, then she almost sounds like a child whining when she says, "But in all fairness, he's been hard on me." Jeff hasn't spent more than 20 hours of live streams on a platform of 20,000 people giving detailed stories about how horrifying you are, Reese. Showing some convincing receipts on Reddit and leaking some video to much smaller YouTube channels is night and day from what you've done. Aaron says he responds as well when he feels it's necessary, and we'll never hear him say that he doesn't. He has shifted from drinking hard liquor to drinking wine. Reese asks Aaron if he feels bad about shedding light on Scientology's crimes. "Oh hell no," he says. She says that's the same thing she's doing with the jesters. She says she won't come on her channel and say, "Here's this female creator, let's throw her under a bus." Aaron laughs and says that he will do that. He certainly did that to Leah, Claire, Amy and Nora. Aaron says some creators are addicted to the drama because those are their only videos that get any views at all. He's calling out Nora and Liz Ferris, but Marilyn sits right in that same boat too. Aaron claims he doesn't like doing drama videos. Even if they get good views, I don't care, he says. But anyone who has seen the gleam in Aaron's eyes when he's trashing Leah or when he's attacking Mike Rinder knows that Aaron loves those moments because his drama videos are so long and loud. He knows that when he does a drama video himself, many of the smaller channels will echo and amplify what he says. Aaron says some creators feel like they have no choice but to do drama videos 5 times a week. He says he feels like he has no choice but to do drama videos about 3 times a year. Aaron has gone way over that number this year, and that's not even counting the videos where he devotes only chunks of them to trashing other ex-Scientologists. Aaron repeats the lie that his viewers don't come to him for the drama. He knows that his fans love drama videos, or he wouldn't do some of the clickbait, "We need to talk" style titles that he does. His drama videos have very high numbers of views. Aaron says that about 8 months of non-stop, disgusting attacks have given him pretty thick YouTube skin, and he doesn't feel any desire to defend himself. He says sometimes it's like a chihuahua keeps nipping at him, and finally he will respond. Reese says she feels like she never talks about the Reddit stuff anymore, because those are strangers with weird fake names. Aaron says he doesn't care about Reddit posts at all anymore. But Nora just showed a screenshot of Aaron from August when he sent her an unvarnished post and pleaded with her to respond to it right away. Reese says it's sad and hurtful when she sees someone she knows talking about her on Reddit. Aaron says he only knows one person on Reddit, and that's Stefani Hutchison. Reese says she doesn't know who that is. Reese claims she has no idea who a lot of people in the anti-Scientology community are, and fans seem to love her more for it because it seems like she's staying out of the drama. By the way, even the Aftermath Foundation folks have severed ties with Stefani Hutchison. She's such a psycho, Aaron says. Reese repeats she doesn't know who that is, and then tells Aaron that the day before she thought Streets LA was DOA. Aaron laughs. That level of ignorance isn't funny for an S.P.T.V. Foundation board member, Aaron. I don't follow this shit, she says, further insulting the protesters and other S.P.T.V. creators. Later in the stream, she says she doesn't know who Chris fucking Shelton is. Reese circles the conversation back around to something she does care about, which is her breakup with Tommy. She asks Aaron if he still has beef with Tommy, and Aaron tells her it isn't that deep, that Tommy was just someone he did videos about prison with. Every S.P.T.V. creator needs to pay attention to how Aaron is talking about Tommy, because they did a lot of content together and spent time socially together. Tommy did many videos talking about how Aaron was his guy, and now Aaron's dismissing all of that. Many creators are competing for Aaron's attention or time, and they want to collaborate with him. But even if they get their wish, at some point Aaron will probably decide to wash his hands of them too. Reese says that Tommy, Jeff, and one of her mods all said it scared them how easily she can flip a switch. It makes me sad because it makes me feel disingenuous or something, and I'm not, she says. Aaron says he knows Reese is very sensitive about this stream not being about Tommy. He says that it's not. Aaron says his decision not to talk to Reese simply boils down to her drama with Tommy. For me, there wasn't much of a switch to flip on or off, he says. Aaron says he was never going to come to Reese and tell her what she should be doing in her relationships. He says he never had a talk with her where he said, "If you break up with Tommy, we can do videos together again." Reese brings up the phone call when Aaron hung up on her, and Aaron says he wasn't delivering some kind of ultimatum to her. He says he had been hearing from many sources that people were so mad at Tommy that a coordinated plan to take Tommy and Reese out of YouTube might develop. Aaron says he called to say, "Reese, do you know what's going on?" Reese says she remembers being standoffish about it, and that Aaron became more elevated in his emotions, and they argued and he hung up on her. During the months when they weren't in contact, Aaron says he and Reese both talked shit about each other with their friends. So it sounds like what Nora said about Tony's celebration of life was true, in that there was a chunk of time when Aaron, Nora, Natalie, George LaBanca, and others in SPTV sat around and trashed Reese. Aaron says he considers that any shit that was talked privately when they weren't speaking doesn't count. It was people who were angry saying things, he says. That's what flipping the switch means to Aaron. Reese reacts to someone in the chat saying that she's spilling a lot of personal information about Tommy, and she says she feels like he did the same thing on the day he announced their breakup. No way. Tommy was very measured, didn't give any details, and said he would always love and protect Reese. Reese got angry that day, not because Tommy gave all kinds of personal details. She was upset because she felt Tommy had gotten the upper hand on the audience. Reese also said last night that Tommy said all kinds of things she had no idea he was going to say. But I still think Tommy's assertion that he and Reese scripted what he was going to say is credible. When Tommy super chatted Reese that they had written it all out together, Reese looked caught and acted confused by what his words meant. She was stalling for time to regroup. Aaron says he's never said anything negative about Tommy on his channel because that's not what his channel is about. He says this live stream with Reese is about giving the community a public example of how to make up and move on. Aaron and Reese says what brought everything to a boil with Tommy was a rumor that Aaron was going around behind the scenes calling Tommy a child molester. "What the fuck are you talking about?" Aaron says, adding that he has never once said that, and he's never heard that rumor. Reese takes pains to say she never heard this rumor either, probably because several people have accused her lately of knowing that Tommy wasn't safe to be around her son, but she let him be close to H anyway. Aaron says he found out about a small channel that's been targeting Tommy and his brother for a while, and that's how he found out about this rumor and where it came from. He says Tommy should have called him if he really thought Aaron was running with that rumor. Reese jumps in to say the rumor isn't true. Reese says Tommy doesn't have a channel where he processes his feelings, but she does, and she wants her chatters to allow her to do that about their relationship. Aaron asks if he can bring up something that he thinks hurt a lot of people who were trying to support her. He brings up the video Reese did the day after her breakup with Tommy, where she implied that people who were scared for her were a bunch of idiots for thinking that. "That's terrible," Reese says. She's upset that Aaron's making it sound like she invalidated her viewers. It sounds like that because that's exactly what happened. Reese is claiming she didn't know that fans felt that way, but her mods keep her posted on what's happening on Reddit and throughout SPTV if it affects her, and people were definitely buzzing about that. There's no way that Reese isn't well aware of how that video was taken as an insult by Marilyn, Nora, and many others who were trying to rally around her and then felt emotional whiplash. Aaron changes the subject to laugh at how fast Reese's chat moves, calling it chaos. Reese keeps saying that people should have told her that she hurt them with the way she did that video. Aaron explains that it would have been much better for her to come out the day after the breakup and apologize for giving the impression that she was in any kind of physical danger or serious distress. Reese says all she was thinking about was Tommy's feelings. Reese needs to start giving some level of attention and care to how her chat feels. Reese told Natalie the other day that she didn't even realize Jenna had been in her chat. But Jenna was there on the day Reese sobbed over her breakup. She was trying to provide support and love, but Reese didn't even notice. She should go back and read her chats. That would be a very smart move to know how her fans are feeling and who's in her chat from day to day, but that would take time, and Reese seems to only want to do the bare minimum for her channel. Reese gets more defensive as Aaron tries to deliver the message about friends being hurt by how she handled those videos around her breakup, and she says she's pretty sure she knows who those people are and they're not her friends. They're close to people who post a lot of shit on Reddit, she says, and she won't stream with them. Things have gotten a little messy and complicated over the past 6, 7, 8 months, Aaron says. They both say moderator wars had a lot to do with the problems. As Reese starts venting about the situation again, Aaron isn't looking at her and doesn't even appear to be hearing what she's saying. He's engrossed by reading the chat. Reese says after her recent video with Natalie, a bunch of women from her channel emailed Tommy and said, "Reese is attacking you." She says Tommy told her all about that today. "People are such assholes. They just feed on hate," Reese says. Some of the fans in that chat were genuinely upset on Tommy's behalf. That stream was far from kind to Tommy. Aaron says that if he fell out of love with his favorite YouTubers, he would just stop watching and move on. So he's not sure if what's happening with SPTV is normal in terms of former fans joining together to warn other people about how toxic some of the SPTV creators are. Aaron says he understands it more when it's about him, but not when he sees whole communities forming that are about exposing Reese. Reese says it's not random people on Reddit who bother her. It's her former friends who are speaking out against her. Aaron explains that some of her moderators were kept in the dark about her affair with Tommy, and they attacked people who were telling the truth about it. They did that for Reese and felt betrayed and lied to, and Aaron says that could be enough to turn someone into an enemy. Reese says she apologized to them on a live stream. She very briefly made a half-hearted apology, but then dumped a whole new batch of insults all over her former moderators. Aaron says he doesn't understand why those former friends couldn't have spoken privately with Reese about their hurt, and he says what they're doing now isn't normal behavior. Reese says the S.P.T.V Foundation board got an email saying that she needs to be fired. "How did I miss that one?" Aaron says, while still mostly paying attention to the chat. She says that if she died in a head-on collision today, a lot of people would be happy or relieved about it. An accident like that would be tragic for everyone involved, especially Reese is using hyperbole like that to try to force even reasonable critics to shut up. "People have no grace," Reese says. Reese and Aaron start talking again about the rumors that Tommy isn't safe to be around children. Reese says Tommy told her he had reliable sources that Aaron was saying those things behind the scenes, but he didn't want to tell her who those sources were. Reese says it doesn't matter. Aaron says it matters a lot whether he was spreading those rumors or not, because if he had done that, Tommy would have every right to be furious with him. Reese says it just makes her sad that she can't have both Aaron and Tommy in her life. Aaron and Reese agree that when they discussed doing their comeback video, they didn't even bring Tommy up as a consideration, because it had nothing to do with him. Aaron says if he had believed the rumors about Tommy, he would have told Reese that he wasn't going to do videos with her as long as she was doing them with Tommy. Reese says she never thought about it that way, but she agrees with Aaron. And obviously, that doesn't make Tommy a liar, she says, adding that Tommy believes his sources. Reese says after her comeback stream with Aaron, Tommy had a nasty fight with her in front of H, and then took Reese outside to finish the breakup conversation, but H was right there through the door, and he could hear it all. Poor Reese says if it had been her choice, she would have told Tommy they needed to give it a week and then come do a stream together to let everyone know that they had broken up. She's really angry that he did a stream about it the next day, and she says she felt forced to go on camera that day too. She wasn't forced, she just wanted to make sure she got the upper hand on the audience, and she did. At least until the next day, when she made a lot of supporters feel gaslighted. "I think public YouTube relationships are a huge mistake," Aaron says. "That's rich coming from a man who's dating Jenna Miscavige, one of the most well-known people in the anti-Scientology community. Her YouTube channel has more subscribers than most SPTV channels, and she's also on the board of the SPTV Foundation." Reese bristles at criticism from a chatter, and she dismisses her as just a Tommy fan. "I will say things were badly handled on both sides," Reese says. Reese tells Aaron she's losing a lot of subscribers, and Aaron tells her the kinds of videos she's doing probably won't appeal to new viewers who don't already have some idea what she's about. He's encouraging her to mix in some different styles of videos that would catch on fire with new audiences. He seems to like her idea to go out on the streets of Nashville and talk to people about Scientology. Aaron says the videos Reese does increase her fans' emotional connection to her, and that can lead to people feeling more slighted or hurt when they see something on her channel they don't like. About an hour and a half into the stream, Reese starts thanking Aaron for doing this stream with her. She seems ready for him to leave, but Aaron seems buzzed. He reads a comment from a chatter that says, "Of course Aaron's drinking," and holds up his wine glass and says he switched to wine and that it's almost the same as water. Aaron says Reese talked a lot of shit about him, and she says she's going to double down on it. Reese says that according to people on the West Coast, Aaron dissed her a lot too. I'm guessing she's referring to Sterling, who lives in California. "What's the West Coast? Minnesota," Aaron says. That may be a reference to Natalie because that's where she lives. Aaron says that refers to SPTV people who came to Tony's celebration of life and then talked shit later. Natalie is the one who brokered a truce between people like Aaron and Reese, who have been griping about each other behind the scenes. She was the peacemaker, Reese says, adding that she wanted to quit the SPTV Foundation board when she and Aaron weren't talking. She felt like no one liked her. "No, don't do that. Aaron only hates you sometimes," Natalie told Reese. Aaron bursts out laughing at what Reese just said. He seems more tipsy now. Aaron makes fun of people on Reddit for assuming that the foundation didn't have many board meetings because Aaron and Reese weren't talking. Life is already hard, he says. It's harder when you're stupid. The truth is that Dylan Gill said the board only had 2 meetings before he resigned on August 22. You can have big groups of dumbass people, and that would be the Reddit people, Reese says as Aaron laughs. She calls Reddit a soap opera. Reese twists the narrative to say that Redditors thought she and Jeff were back together when she said that she still missed him and cuddling with him every night. Nobody thought you were back together, Reese. Some of us just called you out for the way that you were romanticizing Jeff if he did indeed physically abuse you and H. I think I might have more hate than you do, Reese tells Aaron. At this point, I think you're right. It feels great. Welcome to the throne. It's all yours, Aaron says, laughing. Why? Reese says. You might get more hate since Aaron doesn't bring his daughters on his channel to exploit them about their birthday parties and how much they miss their grandparents who disconnected from them. Aaron also doesn't spend entire live streams bashing his former mods. Those former friends of yours helped build your community, Reese. You should be grateful to them and stop bullying them. Aaron says that the anti-Scientology subreddits look like the Twitter feed for Scientology's hate accounts, which means Reddit is accomplishing the same goal as OSA. That's ridiculous. It gets darker as Aaron names Stefani, Sunny Pereira, and Michael Hobson as the worst of the worst on Reddit. Sunny Pereira posts her anti-Scientology Substack articles on Unvarnished. They help expose Scientology's abuses effectively, and they are engaging to read. Those are the main contributions that Sunny has made to Reddit for months now. She wants people to focus more on fighting Scientology and less on SPTV drama. She is one of the best. Aaron just hates her and has viciously defamed her multiple times on more than one channel as a sexual predator. Sunny is the author of the Reddit post that Aaron urgently pressured Nora to do a gotcha piece about on her channel when Sunny got the date of Tom Cruise's wedding wrong. Michael Hobson is an ex-Sea Org member and independent Scientologist who's one of the moderators on Unvarnished. He volunteers his time and effort to help keep the subreddit a place where people can have good discussions with each other and learn. His knowledge and experience is very valuable, and he seems to hate S.P.T.V, which is probably why Aaron hates him. Aaron says there's no point in trying to reason with the people on Reddit. Even if S.P.T.V could get through to a few people there, those platforms are ripe for OSA infiltration. That's certainly a convenient narrative for him. Reese asks Aaron if he thinks the people on Reddit are getting paid. Aaron's theory is that 80% of the people on Reddit are actual Sea Org members and OSA. That's ridiculous. Do I think Stefani Hutchison gets paid? Number A whore gets paid. She does it for free, Aaron says. That's disgusting, Aaron. Reese wants to know more about who Stefani is. Aaron says she's like a combination between Kathy Bates' character in Misery and Glenn Close's character who boiled the bunny in Fatal Attraction. That's a particularly pointed insult since weeks ago Nora found a picture of one of Stephanie's family members in a wheelchair and joked that it looked like Stephanie had broken his legs like the character in Misery. Nora says she didn't know at the time that it was Stephanie's teenage son who was recovering from a very painful surgery. Nora later posted a defensive, half-hearted apology on her community page. She's so in love with Mike Rinder, Aaron continues about Stefani, and now that Mike and Leah and everyone else have totally cut her off, she's just this unhinged fucking psycho just out to destroy everyone and everything. She does it for free. She doesn't even get paid, and OSA just loves her. He says Stefani is exploitable and easy to infiltrate. He gives an example of how hateful and misguided Stefani is, relating the story of how the night before, Aaron had been outside Flag with Feral Cheryl and others. Cheryl said something about her mom. Because Stefani Hutchison doesn't bother watching my videos, she just runs a transcript and reads it. Stefani Hutchison put an entire post up on Reddit today about me throwing my own mother under the bus by saying X, Y, and Z about her, Aaron says. She couldn't even take the time to watch the video and find out that because she was reading a transcript, she thought those words were mine. Aaron continues. I wasn't even the person who spoke those words, and instead of taking the 5 seconds that it would have taken to find that part of the video, She just put up this huge post about me publicly turning on my own mother. I'm only using this as an example because there's so little actual honest effort that goes into this type of hatred and criticism that Stefani Hutchison puts out into the world. She's on autopilot. She's just driven by dripping, seething hatred. She sort of sees herself as the ringleader of the Reddit community, even though the other day she put up a post in there trying to ask them to stop attacking a particular person who had just sort of apologized to her, and the other people just tore her a new asshole, Aaron says. They were like, oh, somebody apologizes to you and you think you can tell us, who the fuck are you? You don't have the fucking rank to tell us who we have to stop talking shit about. So Stefani stepped in her own giant pile of shit, and then they turned on her and then she deleted her post. Aaron is referring to a post that Stefani wrote about Marilyn apologizing to her. She asked people to give Marilyn a lot of space. There are some people in the subreddit who call Marilyn colorful nicknames like the crazy crochet lady, and Stefani asked those people to stop doing that. The comments weren't nearly as spicy and defiant as Aaron makes them out to be. Some of us just pointed out to Stefani in fairly polite terms that we don't call Marilyn names, and we will continue to hold her accountable because we see her streams and how insincere she was about that apology. Marilyn didn't even say Stefani's name the next day when she talked about apologizing to someone. Marilyn just wanted an in with the Aftermath Foundation to hedge her bets. She didn't even fire her primary mod, George Massey, who does a lot of Marilyn's dirty work and has been particularly nasty to Stefani, Mike Rinder, Mitch, Leah, and the Aftermath Foundation. Stefani later came to doubt Marilyn's apology herself, which must delight Aaron. Aaron talks about people on Reddit only having in common a shared hatred for certain people on SPTV. They eventually just eat each other up and dissolve each other, and it's kind of fun to watch, he says. It's so sick. But because that's what it is, even with Stefani there, Scientology will never allow it to become a better version of what it is. Because if Stefani were to stop posting in there would just be 6 other new accounts in there doing the exact same thing. That's what it's there for. Scientology has not been able to successfully infiltrate our actual creator community. The closest they've been able to come to it is how Scott's been able to destroy the protester community. But Stefani, try as hard as she wants to destroy the actual S.P.T.V. community, these people are totally ineffective. But they're just so fixated on it. It's what drives them. Reese tells Aaron she has her own Reddit channel now. She's referring to a newer subreddit named Unrelatable Reese. Aaron explains to her that there were so many posts about her on Unvarnished that a separate subreddit was created for Reese to make room for attacks on other SPTV creators. He says that he and Reese are the only 2 SPTV creators who have their own subreddits. He says he's been banned from the subreddit about him. Aaron sure knows a lot about Reddit as someone who claims he doesn't care about it. Reese says hearing about Reddit is sad. Aaron says he's committed to doing something good in the world, but no matter what he does, people on Reddit are always saying that he makes them sick and he's horrible. He says there's a dedicated community intent on tearing him down and hanging on his every word, and it's actually fucking amazing. Reese says she heard that people on Reddit worship Jeff. That's just not true. He barely posts on Reddit anymore, but when he did, he brought convincing receipts and stories that were consistent, unlike Reese. Reese tells Aaron he can leave now because she's just going to do her super chats. He asks if she normally kicks the guest out. He really doesn't want to leave, even though Reese has tried a couple of times now to get alone time with her chat. Aaron wants to keep helping control the narrative, so he stays. A super chatter tells Aaron they saw the texts Nora posted about him pressuring her to attack another second gen. That person asked why Aaron lied about not doing that. Aaron says Nora cherry-picks text messages and only tells part of the truth. Aaron says Nora has done a bunch of videos about Liz Ferris being given a super special version of the SPTV Foundation contract for grantees. Aaron then corrected the record and said the contracts were the same. So on her channel, Nora apologized and said she made a mistake and was taking accountability for it. Aaron says that making several videos about it is not a mistake, and that she repeatedly accused the foundation of doing something dishonest, underhanded, and disreputable. He says saying, "Oops, I guess I made a mistake," is not enough, and that an apology doesn't just wipe the slate clean. Well, for almost a year, the Aftermath Foundation has been attacked and maligned because of Aaron. Many SPTV creators did a flood of videos about how terrible the Aftermath's liability waiver is, but the SPTV Foundation's contract is far more punishing, and creators haven't criticized the SPTV Foundation or apologized to the Aftermath Foundation. How many donors and volunteers did the Aftermath Foundation lose because of Aaron and his allies in SPTV? When are Aaron, Marilyn, Mike Brown, Poe and others going to wipe the slate clean for the Aftermath Foundation? Aaron says that Nora should focus on attacking Scientology and stop attacking her former friends who are just trying to go out there and do good work. That's what you should have done when you left the Aftermath Foundation, Aaron. Practice what you preach. Aaron tells Nora you wouldn't have to apologize for anything if you weren't so quick to put out false, destructive lies to the community to try to hurt the reputation of people in the community you're upset with. Aaron says Nora is constantly putting out false information in her videos, so sometimes he'll correct the record in a Hangout stream instead of a studio video because he knows the word will get around to the community that way. Nora does get things wrong sometimes, but she's not twisting the narrative like she used to when she was defending Aaron. And some of what Aaron said recently about Nora and the SPTV Foundation was gaslighting. Aaron puts out a lot of false information in his own videos, so he doesn't really have room to talk. Aaron says Nora has never shown the texts where he was offering to use his platform and do whatever he could to help defend her against her haters. He says Nora's addicted to the drama, which was the problem in the first place. Fuck you with your stupid fucking question, Aaron tells that super chatter. I haven't lied about fucking anything. Reese says she doesn't know what the fighting in SPTV is about, and it makes her sad. Aaron repeats what Nora said about wanting to go no contact with Aaron. Nora, please go no contact, Aaron says. It would be the greatest thing you could have ever done. He says Nora does 30 hours of videos about him, so he's going to do 15 minutes correcting the record on her lies. Aaron describes to Reese how during a live stream, Nora created a second YouTube channel solely to attack him. Not even Scientology has done that, he says. Not even Zero Dark Tony has done that. He says Nora only did that because he did a video asking people to stop the constant negativity. That's not true. Aaron's done a lot to hurt Nora, plus he outed her mom as a client of the foundation. She has good reason to have very serious concerns about Aaron. Reese is looking bored and checked out as Aaron's talking. Aaron says he's been way too forgiving in his life up until about a month ago. People who take private disagreements with people who are supposed to be friends and put them on the internet to blame, shame, and humiliate, those people are dead to me, Aaron says. So you should understand why Leah wants no contact with you, Aaron. Aaron minimizes his friendship with Nora, saying they were only friends for about 8 months when they were young, and then they've been friendly off and on ever since. But he's never been to her home, and he's never met her kids or her wife. She's never been to my home. She's never met my kids, he says. She likes to pretend that she's friends with my wife. Nora was never friends with my wife. Aaron says Heather was much higher up in the Sea Org than Nora was, so they had nothing to do with each other. You and Natalie know me better than Nora's ever known me, Aaron tells Reese. Reese says hearing Aaron talk about Nora helps her understand why it may have been a mistake for her and Aaron to talk about Tommy publicly. In response to a chatter, Aaron says Nora is lying about Aaron trying to take down her channel, silence her, and deny her income. He says there's an additional layer to the lie that he's having people mass report her videos. Aaron says there is literally no way to know if a video is being mass reported and that Scientology would mass report all of SPTVs constantly if that's all it took to demonetize them. Aaron says he files copyright strikes on Nora and on any other channel that takes clips of his content, changes them in tiny ways, and then seeks to humiliate him. Aaron claims Nora has done more to try to hurt him than Scientology and ZDT. Tommy sends a super chat saying he hopes this stream is healing and cathartic, and he wishes nothing but success for both Reese and Aaron. Reese thanks him and says he's a very special person she will always hold close to her heart. Aaron stays fairly stone-faced and says nothing in response to Tommy's well wishes. Aaron also gave an update about the SPTV Foundation's application for tax-exempt status. Here's a link to a recap of that. Aaron says he's trying to grow his channel to 250,000 subscribers by the end of the year.